Hello everybody. This video will be about who we as humans really are. And this video is inspired by synchronicity, which led me to view the channel of an individual named Matthew LaCroix. I hope I got his name right. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description. Well, this man is fascinating. Fascinating in the sense that he took the time to investigate the untold history of our civilization, going back as far as records can possibly go. He's researched things such as things called the Nag Hammadi Library, some great library in, is it Iraq? Iraq or Iran, I can't remember. Which contains scrolls that are some of the oldest ever found, and apparently mainstream, let's call it science, is not revealing any of their findings. The findings are mostly revealed by individuals like myself, like you, the viewer of this video, that take the time to investigate for themselves what exactly is it that was found, and how can I possibly have access to this information. Unfortunately, much access is restricted, and much access is dependent on the ability to freely move across the world to investigate matters personally. Because there is no better story told than the one seen with your own eyes. Anyways, he did a fascinating job in connecting the dots of old stories which are now considered myth or folklore, not reality, just simply fables lost to history which have no meaning today. He connected those stories with ancient sites, the places in the world today considered lost to history because, once again, mainstream so-called science, assisted with media, doesn't really talk about them. Instead, what we get is a watered-down version of how the latest civilizations that lived in those specific areas built their own structures on top of existing structures, in a sense to hide the truth. If they cannot remove the truth, and stone is pretty heavy, couldn't move it, they built on top of the truth. So the story we get from science nowadays is what was built on top of the truth, which is not the truth. Well, this individual, he did a good job connecting that with the old stories. And here's how it goes. I'll try to paraphrase it. So much for that. So we have planet Earth. We call it planet because we don't really know what it is. Okay? We have speculations, we have old stories, we have modern science, but we don't really know what it is. Let's just call it a plane of reality. Well, elsewhere, there are other planes of reality in which conditions similar or worse or even better than ours developed in terms of conscious life, which implies the life developed elsewhere at a much earlier phase than we did. And accumulated the ability for interstellar flight, to go from one star to another, from one solar system to another, from one galaxy to another. Well, we are part of the Milky Way galaxy, and just within our galaxy, it is estimated there are billions upon billions of stars with planets, and a certain percentage of them could potentially hold life. Well, apparently, at least one such place developed life. A civilization became born. They became so advanced, eventually they got to the point where they decided to colonize space, other planets, for whatever reasons. I don't know the reasons. Doesn't matter what the reasons are. Well, apparently one of the places they decided to do this to was Earth. Well, apparently on Earth, there was already life developing. And life developing reached the ape level. Well, apparently when this advanced species of intelligent life reached Earth, they decided to genetically engineer versions of us. We are simply the last version that we know of. Perhaps we're not the last. Perhaps it's happening elsewhere too. Interesting. But apparently this happened to us. So what happened essentially was you took an ape and you made it into a man, which meant losing certain abilities and gaining others. The one gained was a massive brain that could hold a massive consciousness. Now, why is this important? Well, let's think of it this way. Consciousness is Earth. Consciousness is the sun. Consciousness is the solar system. Consciousness is the galaxy. Consciousness is the universe. It's all fractalized, see? It's all based on where you are at a specific point in time. So you as a consciousness at this point in time inhabit your avatar, your Strawman suit, your physical body. Which means if you've listened or read to the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, or listened or read the Kabbalah, you would understand that before there is physical reality, there is the thought. And before there is the thought, there is the consciousness. And before there is the consciousness, there is the light. There are phases to reach the level that you're at. So you came out of the life of the all. Oh, no, not the all. The life of all, from which everything sprang into existence. And on your journey, you accumulated experiences that developed your consciousness over time to reach the current level that it's at. You don't remember the majority of those experiences because you are limited to this life for whatever reason. But from those experiences, you manifested here into this physical reality. What this means is that your consciousness, which is simply frequencies working together, became lower frequencies, which became more dense. That is how matter is born out of nothing. So in essence, I've kind of killed the holographic universe idea because there ain't nothing holographic. Everything just exists all at the same time, but in different forms, based on the waves, the frequencies, vibration, high versus low. So then, on your journey through your existence, through your experiences, you reached Earth, okay? And on Earth, you incarnated into all these different bodies that held different levels of consciousness, which eventually reached the level of ape. Well, after that, apparently, that super intelligent species came here and genetically manipulated that ape, with that level of consciousness into becoming modern man. Which means modern man skipped a whole bunch of levels in the evolutionary process, which means being robbed of the experiences necessary that was intended for the ape to evolve to the levels of consciousness that we currently experience. So in essence, the experiences of those that genetically engineered us were instilled onto us. However, they also instilled a control mechanism which prevented access to most of what we are, what we consider junk DNA. Big ass cockroach. What we consider junk DNA is really all the experiences we've had to reach the present point, the ones that give us our phenomenal powers, superpowers. Well, if part of our DNA comes from those that created us, because we were made in their image, right? Well then, the powers they possess, we also possess. However, we are actually stronger because we possess their power, but we also possess the experience of this earth, especially as being slaves for all of our existence. So then we have learned a dual system of power, one that is based on who they are and one that is based on who we are, which is why they instilled the eagle, which is also the shield, to control DNA from awakening, from conscious awakening. So then, how could they possibly do this just in the physical form? It's not possible to just control one side of the equation, because we as human beings are two sides to the equation, the physical and the non-physical, the etheric, the spiritual, the astral plane. Their system of control has to function on both sides to make sure that once we experience a physical death in our current avatars, our consciousness goes to a place in holding, in a sense, until it receives a different avatar. This is how the cycle of reincarnation has entrapped us. So what happens if we consciously decide to no longer function in such a system? If we consciously decide, no. Before I move on, I must unlock all my previous experiences. Only then will I know what to do next. So what if we decide to do that? And what if we actually found a way to do that?